I'm Dan Polk, and welcome to another episode of American Peasants. Now that should leave us some access to get the ladder up here where the main thrust of the fruit is left on the tree. We'll see. So once again, here we are, picking fruit up in the Italian plum, and just a few feet off the ground, but very pleasant place to spend part of a August afternoon. And just to elaborate a little bit on the home orchard to market theme, it's been really neat. And again, the dreams of entrepreneurship are not dead, because all I did was approach the local office of a local small town grocery chain, and I can tell you right now it's McKay's Markets. Here's a little product placement. McKay's Markets have been very, very friendly to me, and we're very supportive of getting fresh local produce straight into a regular supermarket chain actually that's around our local area. And they said, yeah, just talk to the produce people and see what they need. Now, shipments of these plums had just come in from Portland, but they said, wait till we're a little bit emptied out and then we can take some. And I think I've sold, including today, it'll be almost 100 pounds, which is really amazing. And market prices vary, and that's not the point. But I understand wholesale versus retail, but for me it's very, very rewarding. So I know, it's just, again, it's giving me more confidence and more evidence that with, say, an acre, I could really augment my income, because the farm to market model is so big in the United States, and it's just going to get bigger. The goal of this series, the aim of this video series, is to instruct but also inspire. I'm just a teacher, and look what I've done with a regular city lot. Now this is more than most people could take care of, but hopefully it's inspiring, because you too can do it. You can do it. I need to get back to work. Ladder safety. Oh, there's two ways you can use a step ladder. On all four legs, right? Or leaning at an appropriate angle, leaning into something. That's what I'm doing today. But always set your ladder so you can definitely feel safe and be safe. And I always am doing this, and won't probably go any higher. But again, what are we doing? Absorbing some sunshine, vitamin D, and we know that the green plants of the world are producing oxygen, so it's a very oxygen-rich environment. all the stretching, the climbing, it's all really good exercise. I won't say it's like yoga, but there's some yogic elements to it. And there's just so much here, I just don't know. First of all, if I can get to all of it, without getting my 20-foot ladder out, which has its own pitfalls. But it's better to pick it off the tree than to pick it up off the ground. There's a little mantra for you. The Italian plums are just about done for the season. Sort of tried to prune them and knock them back. We're going to see what we did on a yield with a final picking. And again, I think about 100 pounds have been taken to market, which is really good. Kind of reinforces my feelings on growing for other people and moving some of this that I've worked so hard at out into the community. So let's come in. We'll see where we ended up. That looks like about, and the scale weighs a little light, but that's over 20 pounds for sure in that tub. And over 20 again in that one. So both of these tubs, sum total is another 40 pounds. That probably represents only maybe 30% of what came off of these trees. Again, the Italian prune or Italian plum, so freestone plum, will grow very well for you in most climates, self-pollinating and very vigorous, so you may find yourself engaging in some of that pruning that we saw in this last segment. I got to get these to market, then we're going to find our way into the garden. So we're going to walk back from the orchard back to the backyard where the garden is, and again, I need to do some more pruning here, but it's kind of fun to thread our way through the maze of all my fruit trees. So there's a lot going on in the garden, and it's really high summer where everything is coming on and we always have to keep up with all the picking. It's fun, it's productive, it's really good nutrition for us, but it's a lot of work. Let's get started. Find my way around the clothes on the line here. The pole beans have been very productive, and they're just beans all over, we can see. And the more you pick the pole beans, and the two-hand method is recommended, one hand on the beans, the other hand on the vine because it can be damaged. And they're just all over in here, aren't they? The more you, as I was alluding to, the more you pick them, the more we see up here, and they'll continue to flower and produce well into the autumn. I mean, these vines would grow. This one's doubled back on itself. If you look, I mean, that's another probably 3 feet there. They'd easily stretch up to the power line coming into the house. And really, if you can just pick them clean, get everything off, or almost everything off, it's better because then the plant will be stimulated to continue producing more and more. There's just so much here, it's unbelievable. So I better get to work. We're now shooting from a secret location deep inside the A-frame. And it's only here that you can find the beans that will elude the average picker, because the interior is always loaded. And just in a couple handfuls, I mean, this is probably 1% of what is actually on the vines. And all of these are just all like perfectly mature. Again, the two-hand method is recommended because then you don't destroy the vines. Back to work in our top secret location. that is more than enough for a couple of meals. So we're going to move on. Set that aside. Let's see how our volunteer cucumbers fared. Now, a word on the onions. If we come in here, and we can see how the onions are laying over now, and they've done that of their own accord. So what I've done now is I've stopped watering in an attempt to dry out the skins. Let's just grab a couple of these. These are really ready. So this is purple shallot here, actually. And then this is one of the red onions, and that one's even withered up, so we know that one's definitely ready to come out of the ground. I would probably use these sooner than later. I'm going to leave the rest of them, just as an example. I'm going to leave the rest of these, and I'm not watering these anymore. And what's going to happen is the skins will dry on them and will help to preserve them all winter, just like the onions that we started this whole series with. They're in my woodshed. These should last almost a year once they're dried, and we'll end up, I'll do a whole segment on that too. I'll just hang these up, hang them up in the woodshed by nails in the ceiling, and they'll dry and cure out all winter. Good development here. We have a nice green pepper from one of my pepper plants. That's going in the basket. And onto the volunteer cucumber. Now remember, this sprouted on its own accord, and it's been very productive. I've had several off of here already, but amazing. Funny shape. I think that's owing to the end. I tried to tie this back and it became so heavy. It's just going to tip over. I'm just going to let it go for the rest of the season. So there's one, another one. Right there, and again, like anything else, another good one right here. That's a little more characteristic of what we're used to seeing in market. Like anything else, if you keep the cucumber picked clean, it's going to keep producing. And this has another, probably several weeks. There's still several flowers, so there'll be pounds and pounds of cucumbers to come off of that the rest of the season. Where to next? Let's go to the beets. We've been very successful with the beets here in the demonstration garden this year. Oh, what's going on here? This is cilantro, actually, that sprouted up from last year, because what happens is, and the bees are happy with it as well, the cilantro, it started to bolt. You can see there's the characteristic leaves. And this is still good. We might grab just a little of that anyway. Good for our digestion. Cilantro is supposed to be a purifier and a cleanser. And it's all back through here as well, where it just volunteered itself. And people say, I can't grow cilantro, I can't grow cilantro. Well, my technique is, and I think maybe commercially they do this as well, just let it go to seed and it will reseed itself, and that's what happened here. It's almost impossible to get rid of, but I mean, I got so much cilantro here. I'm going to open up a Mexican restaurant. Back to more germane topics. Beets. What do we got going here? There's one. Nice beet. And we want to get these before they're giant. Why not? There's another one. There's another one. And the greens are good. As I said, we had a little infiltration from the leaf miner. Should get one more. I'll just grab both. I knocked both of these out of the ground anyway. And this one, why not? You always give these away to friends. Becoming quite a haul already. That's 10 minutes of picking, and look what we've got. Carrots. In an earlier segment, I alluded to the fact that the potatoes were getting a little bit unmanageable. Let me come over to this side. And the potatoes, what happens with potatoes is that they will grow and grow and grow. And they were shading out the carrots. So I'm going to pull all these up sooner than later. How do you harvest potatoes? Well, I just start with the vines, and I just start pulling. And these are, I think these are Yukon Gold. There's one there. These little babies are good too. New potatoes, they call them. Set those aside. And left to go on their own. These could have grown a lot longer, but a couple things. I don't eat a lot of potatoes, and I need to free up some sunlight and also some space because I'm going to do my winter planting of carrots right in here. And I'm looking for, you just pull and see what you get. Oh my gosh. Potatoes are really good subsistence food. These have been drying out in the ground because they haven't been watering. And I'm going to go to the compost eventually. This is just lovely. Haul potatoes for the day. And I'm going to keep going until I find some of the red ones. I know they're in here. Red potatoes, where are you? Not there. Red potatoes. More white potatoes. More white potatoes. And I can dig those up later. Which I'll collect all of them. What do we have here? More white potatoes, I think. There we are. Funny shape, but perfectly edible. These are the red Pontiac potatoes. And I'm not going to go any further. There's another one. Oh my gosh. That's a very productive variety. There's another one right here. Several. Dan's potato farm is very productive this year. What do we have right here? And there's some more. And I'm going to stop right there. Gosh, look at that. Yukon Gold. I'm going to collect all these up and we'll go from there. Okay, some of those little guys might fall through the cracks of my container here. Doesn't really matter what you harvest in, but you don't want to damage. You don't have damaged goods. To show you too, this is the original seed potato. This one here, this is the one that I planted. It eventually rots out and gets destroyed, but it sprouted here and produced all of the white potatoes around itself and actually above it during its growth cycle. I'll leave the rest of these in the ground, but these are all going to be taken and either going straight to the kitchen or hung on to. I could fill this whole thing up, but there's no need, because what's happening is the ones that are still in the ground, the skins are curing on and they're drying and they're becoming more resilient. Now these are pretty good. This, close to what you see in market. Really, for market though, the sad thing is that they treat the potatoes with a retardant, so if they're not organic, so they won't sprout. The virtue of organic potatoes, of course, you grew them yourself, and there's none of that in your own crop. That's a nice example of the Yukon Gold. Again, the skin's pretty cured on there. These should last in cold storage. Another thing, you never leave potatoes in the sun. Really, in the light is not good either, because there's a chemical called solanine that's produced, and it makes them green. And like, I wouldn't eat this, You can see the solanine there appearing under the skin because too much solanine in all solanums, that's tomatoes and peppers and potatoes, eggplants, they all produce this. I mean, potatoes can make you sick, send you to the hospital. So that one must just got uncovered, is growing on the surface. We'll have that one. There's potatoes, I'm going to put those in the shade. And onto the tomato plants. And they've been very productive, really. We'll focus on these. I think this is an early girl. And I grew them in big containers in my little greenhouse structure here. We had some trouble with some kind of caterpillar or worm. I didn't do anything. I just keep picking them and cutting out the bad stuff. But I'm going to pick these early because of the caterpillars. They're going to want to pick these a little early because the caterpillars are going to want to invade and go ahead and eat holes in these. So they'll ripen in the windowsill. And I might also show the second planting I did. If you come in here, I put some more pole beans, different variety, in the buckets because I had the plants, and they are doing their best to crawl up, and they'll colonize all this space and start producing. They're starting to flower to themselves. Finally, we're going to pick a few of the fresh herbs, and then I'll dry those and maybe use those in a later segment in the kitchen. Lovely rosemary. How much do you need? Well, not much. Fresh herbs are so potent, the smell is unbelievable. And oregano, and a little bit of sage. Again, taken together, those are the three big ones. We talk about thyme, we talk about lavender and everything else. These are the three big ones in most Mediterranean cooking and domestic cooking as well. So let's see how we did. And working backwards, see if I can keep this in chronological order. We just did the herbs. Before that it was the tomatoes, and then the potatoes, which are here, lovely red and white in the blue container. Before that I think we were picking the beets and working in reverse chronological order. Then we did the cucumbers and the pepper. I'm not sure where that came in. The shallots and the red onion, and we started off with the pole beans. Quite a haul actually. For literally that's less than 20 minutes, I think. You can check the runtime on the tape, and some of that will be condensed. But I mean, that's a lot, and that is literally the fruits of our labor for the summer. Signing off for now. I think next we will go to a segment on sink repair in the kitchen. Plumbing. Well, this is a real jackpot today. We have a leaky faucet. If we can point out here, I've shut the water off, but this is leaking all around here, and it's just another example of a cheap fixture. And we learned the hard way. I should have bought the better fixture. I'm trying to save money, and it's either pay now or pay later. So we have a little plumbing project today, and if we can do the work ourselves, well, we're going to be that much farther. It was plumbing $80 an hour. I don't know. I don't have it myself, so I'm going to replace this again within the year. It's all kinds of fun. And I started with a pipe wrench because we looked at, also known as a monkey wrench. We look down here. These are the hot and cold water valves, respectively, for the sink. And the previous owner managed to bugger this up, so it was tight, and I had to use the pipe wrench, and it's still dripping a little bit because I don't want to destroy that. I spoil that valve, and then I've got to replace that too, which I'm not in the mood to do today. So we got a bowl set up here to catch the little bit of a drip off the hot water side. The cold water side's fine. So just review the project and what you're going to see. There's two plastic nuts that secure the hot and cold side, go through holes in the sink, and those plastic nuts have to come off. I've already taken the lines off, and this is a handy wrench, and depending if you're screwing the nuts off or on, you flip this to one side or the other. It's pretty ingenious. And this is just a spring-loaded, so you can get up there without having to send yourself to the chiropractor. Let's look under the sink and see what's going on. So this is all kinds of fun. Plumbing is my least favorite thing to do. And this time I'm going to try to make just one trip to the hardware store, because plumbing typically I have 3, 4, 5 times. So let's take a look up here. And these are the nuts I spoke of. These have to come off. It's just delightful. I had to come and resort to the channel lock pliers. That, I think it got stuck on the pipe tape, but this is about to come off. So there's the second nut. Now let's go back up on top. So there's the unit. And the problem was, the faucet, actual faucet part of it, or the neck part of it, was loose and leaking around here. It's just an absolutely cheap unit. I'm gonna never buy one of these. Looks like it's all copper underneath and all brazed together. So they skimped out on details, but it was the cold water side. This pipe tape, which you'll see when we install this, that was preventing this from coming loose. Anyway, off to the hardware store to take this back and get a better unit, and I'll check in as soon as I'm ready to reinstall. Installation is just reverse of removal. Anyway, signing off for now. So here we are with the new faucet, and this is a little bit different. The hot and cold water comes in through the bottom, through this central port here, and then it's just adjustable, one single adjustable handle up here. The faucet itself is secured down by these plastic nuts. It's a little bit different, but because it's an old sink, we're going to take the base plate off, and we're going to put a little, set that aside. You don't want to bend these and you'll spoil these here, so be careful with those. Put a little silicone, and this says window, door, and siding, but it's all the same. This is just the cheap stuff, or small tubes. I didn't need a big tube using the caulking gun, and it goes that side down. So always when you're, and I learned this in shop class, use a little more than enough, and the stuff's not particularly easy to clean up, so you need some old mineral spirits or paint thinner or something. So we're not going to completely overdo it here. Anyway, that should do it. Then goes on like so. Position those and stick that down. You shouldn't have a whole lot. I mean, really, it's nice if some squirts out around the edges. But we're going to leave that sit up for now. And now you can just kick back and eat an ice cream sandwich or something, because you don't want to get started on this until it's had a chance to set up. So, okay, here we are. It's a real jackpot. Had to improvise a little bit if we can get a shot up here. We've got, these are the nuts that secure the sink, secure the new faucet to the sink, and we're just going to hand tighten those. And here's the other side. And then these connections here, like I said, go up through the center rather than on each side of the, for the hot and cold. So they had to go to these copper connectors, and I don't know if you can see, there's an, these, didn't have a whole lot of confidence in the strength of these, so I had to put a couple wrenches. I can show you here. I had to put, looked like the 12 millimeter fit pretty close to the nut that was actually on the fitting, and then I tightened them down with a crescent wrench because I didn't have, I think it's 11/32. So this adjustable wrench comes in handy. This worked great for the way the sink was set up before, the faucet was set up before, but because it was a little cumbersome, I was unable to finagle it up there, hold on to it, adjust it, and also hold on to the copper inlet pipe to the faucet, so I abandoned that in favor of 2 different wrenches. I think we got the job done. I tightened those up, I wiped them all off, I turned the water back on with the valves here, and you can see that one's shot. But the valve is still good, it's just the handle shot, and it's relatively a pain to replace at this point. So that's another job for another day. American peasants, look, we've got to do all we can to cut down on the cost of living. And if we can do some of our own maintenance, there's not only we save money, it's more time really, because a good plumber could do this in 45 minutes. It took me 2 hours and 2 or 3 trips to the store. But our local hardware store, True Value, was really great about taking the other unit back. It had been 18 months, they looked it up. And they took it back and gave me full credit, so I got this unit. And we're going to go up top here and turn it on. It's going to be lovely. And for a couple reasons. But it takes more time. The 3 variables we deal with are time, energy, and money. If you have more time, you need less of the other 2. Now, I'm a teacher, so I have the time off in the summer. If you have more money, then you can pay somebody else to do it. If you have a lot of energy, well, that goes a long way in all the dimensions. So let's go up the top and look at the faucet, and I think we're ready to move on. So I think we're in good shape here. We've got our new modular faucet system, and this is better for a couple reasons. Number one, because it's a better unit. It's a washerless unit. I think there's just a little, like a little ball and spring under there, and just one handle. I can feel now that's much better action. And because it's taller, that other unit was so low, and again, you try to cheap out, and cheap is what you get. But look, see? I'm getting like a whole water bottle under there. So we're going to hydrate. We're going to fill this up, and we are golden. This is a boat launch here at Public Park, State Park, Southern Oregon, and I'm just going to go for it. I always try to take off like on the hour or on the minute so I can keep track of not real super structured. What I do out there is kind of do what I feel and how my body feels that day, but if I know how long I'm out there, when I started, when I finished a course, then I can say, hey, was my effort stronger today? Because there's some different courses and I know the distances. Maybe get into the satellite stuff later. Good. Fantastic. Go up here, talk it over. You know, there's nothing like swimming in invigorating conditions wake up your mind and body. There's got to be some kind of extra mineralization in that water or something that makes me feel good. I can't explain it. There's this big trend now towards, they call it earthing, running around with no shoes and things. Just swimming out in the fresh water out in the lake is, you're surrounded with those minerals, getting mineralized the whole time. There must be something to it. I don't wear goggles because the water feels good on my eyes. It even tastes good. And it's just the entire sensory experience of the whole thing is just fantastic. Swimming is something we can do our whole lives. And again, I wear this suit for flotation. There's a little bit of extra visibility. I don't know if you can see how well you can see camera work out there, but I went across to the triangle, and I think hopefully we'll be able to cut away to a satellite picture here, and maybe 1,200 yards. I don't know, it's about half an hour. Just fantastic. Not a whole lot more to say. Just very, very invigorating. The wind makes it more demanding, more of a challenge. If you get the chance to swim open water at all, you got to do a high recovery. Keep your eyes open, watch where you're going. And I've done this enough to, I can do it and see with my eyes closed, but I know my courses out there and how to stay on track. I always try to find a site and try to aim for it. And again, I just did kind of a big, about maybe 1,200 yard triangle. Really fantastic experience again. I recommend it. Signing off for now.